Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. This is going to be a review video for the movie Respect, the biopic on Aretha Franklin. I was thinking, like, did I pronounce that wrong? But I think I got it right? Biopic on Aretha Franklin, starring Jennifer Hudson. I've been so excited for this movie. I've been waiting for this movie. I've been waiting for this movie. I've been waiting for this movie. And this movie finally came out. It came out last Friday. I did see it on Saturday, so I saw it right away. There will be some mild spoilers, so I'm gonna do spoiler alert, spoiler alert, as you guys know I like to do. But they're gonna be very, very, very mild. But there are gonna be some spoilers, so just for anyone that hasn't seen it, because it hasn't been out very long, and for people that don't like spoilers or things like that, even though it seems like nowadays most people don't care, but I still care. So there will be some mild spoilers. I also want to say, please don't leave any comments mentioning any other people that might have played Aretha Franklin, because I just don't want to talk about that. I don't want to mention that person's name. I've already talked plenty about that person in videos if you guys want to go watch that. I feel like this person does a lot of certain things on purpose so that you guys will hate spread her stuff around. This was something that was really irritating me, to be honest, in the promo for Respect, because it felt like every single time I posted about Respect on Instagram or on social media, or I wanted to talk about Respect, people try to bring up this other person. And it's just like, manipulation of Black American outrage is a thing. I've done videos on it. I'll include links in the description box to it. I don't play into that. Like, people deliberately do shit to, like, piss us off, and then, like, a lot of us sort of just, like, jump for the bait and, spread people's shit around and give them free promo. No free promo. Just wanted to say that. Now that that's out of the way, Respect. I loved this movie. I adored it. I thought it was so good. It was above and beyond all of my expectations. I was literally sitting there watching, like, Jennifer Hudson is a motherfucking star. Like, she is a star. Like, she is so talented. Her voice, which we all knew that Jennifer Hudson had, like, a powerhouse voice, but I also was very, very impressed with her acting. I do also love Dreamgirls, and I've seen Jennifer Hudson in a few other things, but I was very, very impressed. I was extremely impressed with her acting, with her presence, with her charisma. It takes a lot to play Aretha Franklin, and I really felt like Jennifer Hudson was a perfect fit, perfect for this role. I really enjoyed her as the Queen of Soul, and I really think she carried it off just brilliantly and beautifully. And I loved, the other cast members as well. I'm going to talk about a few of the other cast members a little bit later, but I really enjoyed this cast. I really, really, really enjoyed this cast. One of my favorite things about this film was the care and the empathy that I felt they took with Aretha's life and her legacy. I felt they really did show her musical genius and the sort of innate, intuitive way that she understood music. We see her, oh, try it a chord lower, try it a chord higher. It's too busy. Let's rearrange it. Follow me. Like, she instinctively knew when she started, trusting herself and stepping out on that ledge, out of the standards. She just knew things about songs very intuitively. And standards are standards for a reason, especially, in jazz and stuff like that. Like Cole Porter standards are standards. They're standards for a reason. But if you have the gift of intuitive creation, which she did, you have to use it. And as far as the sort of biopic nature of the movie, I wasn't super familiar with the personal details of Aretha's life. So it was a very sad story at parts. And I have seen people saying that it was a lot sadder than they anticipated that it would be. And again, like, Jennifer Hudson just really blew me away. There were numerous times during this film that I was moved to tears, and I felt she just really brought her A game in her depiction of this icon, this legend. I could feel my bun falling, so I just let it go. The movie was a bit long, but I felt the pacing was very good, and I really enjoyed the overall tone of the movie. Like, I feel like biopics can feel a little color by the numbers at times in terms of the notes that they're trying to hit. And I felt like, for me, this movie kind of unfolded in a very unique way. There were elements of the movie that were even surreal, stepping into some surrealism. There was some jumping back and forth through time that worked very, very well for me. Like there were, I'm trying not to get too spoilery, but there were some setups for some certain things that then, maybe 20 or 30 minutes later, we got a little flashback, quick little flashback, and then it was just like, oh, so that's what that was. So that's how that turned out. So that, and I felt like that was utilized very, very well. I thought the technical skill that was brought to the film by the director was excellent. I also really, really enjoyed the writing. I thought that this was an excellent screenplay. Woman director, woman screenwriter. I love a woman director. I love a woman screenwriter. And I really felt like this screenplay was really, really good. The writing here was very good, very tight. Again, there was some really, technically strong, the scenes, the way that things were filmed. Again, there was some jumping back and forth in time. Just, I thought it was a really good take on a biopic, which again, they can sometimes skew a little color by the numbers. And I also felt like there was a very nuanced or, a light nuanced touch, like a light touch, a light hand, not heavy-handed, not overbearing, not beating us over the head with emotional trauma. There was a lot of the depiction of the sexism in Aretha's life, the misogyny in Aretha's life, the racism in Aretha's life, the control issues in Aretha's life, from childhood abuse to just really intense control of her father and her first husband, Ted White, who was emotionally and physically abusive. And yet we see these events depicted, but it never felt, again, cheap. It never felt heavy-handed. It never felt like torture. It never felt like torture porn. A lot of the times I feel like men, male directors, male writers tend to focus on that type of stuff in a certain type of way, like rape, sexual assault, abuse as plot devices, which you guys know I cannot take that. I hate that. And I did not get that sense with this film. It didn't feel like they were trying to drag Aretha down. It didn't feel like, again, we were being beat over the head with it. It was a very delicate hand. A lot of care, a lot of respect, a lot of a lot of empathy. And I felt like it was a unique perspective on this woman's life as someone that is so gifted, but is also being handled a certain type of way by these men in her life. And she has to sort of get up out of that and out from under that to save herself and to save her own life and to save her gift and to flourish and to then later sort of use that gift to save other people. There's a wonderful scene where a woman is waiting for her in a hotel lobby, and she's waiting to tell her, Miss Aretha, when I listen to your music, I feel like you're speaking for me, as a woman that's had a certain type of life. And I just, I love you. I'm a huge fan. I just wanted to tell you, you've helped me, you've saved me. And that's how you really feel with music and with artists and with certain things that you connect to, because you feel like, oh, I this is my life. I understand this. I relate to this. She's speaking my life. She's speaking to me. And Aretha tells her, keep on going. She gives her this encouragement. And then she gets in the elevator and gets, beat by her husband. And I thought that was a very interesting juxtaposition also of what we see, especially with celebrities, entertainers, musicians, artists, people that are helping us, and people that we think have everything, people that we think are on top of the world. They Aretha, who I didn't realize Aretha released 9 albums before she got dropped by her label, Columbia, and actually, went to a smaller label and started working with a smaller band and started getting her hits. I did not know that. I never knew that. And, so here's somebody that has finally reached this sort of, I'm not even going to say the pinnacle, because we even see that she's able to climb even higher after this point, but somebody that is at what she feels is the pinnacle of her career with hits. And, she's young, she's beautiful, she's successful, and yet we see these things, and yet we're not knowing what goes on behind closed doors with these people, which is a very relevant message. And I also thought the movie did a great job of showing, similar to the Clark sisters, So shout outs to the Clark sisters, woman director. Shout outs to the director, Christine. I see you, Christine. Of showing how events in Aretha's own life inspired and influenced the music and the lyrics. You can't do a biopic on Aretha Franklin and not get the music right, and not get the musical numbers right, not get the musical scenes right. Every single musical number in this movie hit, period. And us literally seeing, like, we see her on stage and she's looking at her husband. You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Like, that's her literally saying to her husband, like, we have a whole setup. We've now had a whole setup of this scene. And then we see her doing this performance, and it's liberation. It's a liberating performance. You know, that's her saying to her husband, like, you know, that's it. I need to be free of you. Freedom, freedom, freedom. Like, it was an excellent scene. It was very well done. And there were a lot of scenes like that in this movie. I also enjoyed the portrayals of the very famous people that were in Aretha Franklin's orbit, even from the time that she was a small child. I thought Forrest Whitaker was wonderful as her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, a very famous preacher known as the man with the $1 million voice. Audra McDonald as her mother, stunning, beautiful, beautiful job. Like, I feel like, you guys know I hate awards, and I feel like awards are fake. But in a world where awards were real things to me, I would want, like, everyone in this cast, like, even Audra McDonald deserves something, some type of supporting something, because she wasn't in the movie very much, but all of her scenes, they blew me away. Spectacularly talented singer and actress. Mary J. Blige as the Dinah Washington, the first queen of soul, just serving rich, serving luxurious, just really serving queen. Like, Mary's the queen, like. And it's really been a joy seeing Mary come into her own as an actress in the past, you know, I'll say 7 or 8 years. I feel like she's really come into her own as an actress, and she's just really shining in all of these parts. You know, I know people, I still haven't seen Mud. I have to watch Mud. But I know people loved her in Mud. I loved her in Umbrella Academy. Like, everything I see her in, I love her in. And I loved her role here as, you know, somebody that could be sort of taken the wrong way. And I'm sure maybe some people probably did take some of her actions in the film the wrong way. But as a figure that has sort of been in Aretha's life since she was a child, and gives her this kind of life-changing advice of, like, you have to find yourself. You have to find yourself. You have to find your songs. You have to find your sound, or else you're not going to go anywhere. You know, like, the person that really gave her that kick in the ass, and Mary is just the queen. She was just perfect. Oh, and she was just serving. She was serving opulence. She was serving luxury. I was like, yes, look at you, Mary. You better serve. Oh, I loved it. Now I know some people might disagree, but I enjoyed, you know, Marlon Wayans as Ted White, her first husband. I know some people felt like he kind of overdid it, but I liked it. I think that this is just my personal opinion, I feel like a lot of the mannerisms of the 60s just seem strange to us now. I don't know how else to put it really, but I feel like a lot of the social norms, a lot of the speech patterns, the way that people carry themselves, you know, just the way that people walk and talk and things like that, we don't do anymore. And I feel like Marlon Wayans can act. He's an excellent actor. He's known for comedy, obviously. He's from the sort of legendary Wayans family of comics. But one of my favorite films is Requiem for a Dream. It's a fucked up film. Don't watch it if you haven't seen it. Don't Google it. It's fucked up. And he's in a serious role in that film, and he's excellent. And I've always wanted to see him do some more meatier, dramatic roles. And I personally think he did a really good job of embodying Ted White, who's like a really fucking sleazy ass guy. Like, he's a shady character. Like, he's a pimp, like, straight up, like, straight like that. Like, he's a street hustler. He's like a little small time manager. He manages artists here and there, like, you know, just like these scamming ass scam artists and shit that we see nowadays in 2021, you know. And Aretha is rebelling against her father, who has this ironclad grip on her life and her career, and she kind of ends up with this sleazeball ass nigga. And, you know, I liked Marlon Wayans, and I thought that Marlon Wayans and Jennifer Hudson had wonderful chemistry. Like, something about them, like, really worked for me. I also like seeing the depiction of respectability politics and how her father was like a talented 10th type, even though they themselves was, you know, they was not uppity Negroes, you know, like he's very concerned. He's putting on a front right? And this is a big problem in the church. You know, he's very concerned with her being respectable and with them being respectable, even though when Ted White comes around, oh, this is a spoiler. When Ted White comes around, he pulled that thing out. He pulled that toolie out and said, nigga, you better get, like, oh, like, you flipped the switch. I thought you was respectable. Like, you flipped it, you know? But he's very concerned with his public image and being respectable. They know all these celebrities that are friends with the family. They know Martin Luther King Jr., who she considers her uncle, you know? And so he's really trying to, like, put on airs. Her father at one point is trying to like sell her to the record label, and he calls her a black Judy Garland, you know, like he doesn't really see Aretha. And I enjoyed the depiction of that and us even seeing how that carries throughout her life. I also enjoyed that they didn't shy away from Aretha Franklin's involvement very early in civil rights and Black Power movements and how that carried throughout her life, including her support of Angela Davis. I was really, really glad that they included all that stuff and that they didn't try to gloss any of that stuff over. I also like the subtle nods to Motown. Oh, Barry, you know, as in Berry Gordy. Barry's starting this new label with some kids from the neighborhood. Like, you should come, you know. And that kind of gets brought up numerous times. Smokey Robinson shows up numerous times because this is Detroit, you know. And I really appreciated not only those nods, but seeing this culture clash that we see amongst these Black American, you know, communities and sub-communities. Because, you know, her father kind of like looks down on the Motown crew because there's a bunch of kids from the neighborhood, the kids that he feels like he doesn't want his daughter to be like, the Smokey Robinsons, the Mary Wilsons, you know, may she rest in peace, you know, the ghetto, you know, like he doesn't want his daughter to be like them. So we see this sort of bourgeoisie respectability politics, even though, you know, you're not protecting your daughter from sexual abuse, but you're so concerned about protecting her image. With this prim and proper polished shit, not even trying to let her talk for herself or do what she wants to do, you know? And I love that Mary was also the one that called that out as well. Like, girl, Aretha, you not one of them uppity Negroes, and neither is your daddy. He's pretending, and so are you. Again, you have to find your own style, your own sound, your own hits. I'm very glad that that clash was shown, because that's something that we're even still dealing with in terms of, you know, Black American culture now. And as you guys know, a lot of what we've been talking about, who gets to be the representative, right? What type of people get to represent us is still relevant. So I'm glad, you know, we got to even see 60s how that type of thing went. My grandmother used to play me Aretha Franklin records when I was growing up. She played a lot of Aretha, and so I recognized a lot of the songs, and it was just fascinating to me to see so many of the things that were going on in her real life around this time. Obviously, it's not a documentary, so some things are embellished, clearly, but just really seeing from Jennifer Hudson, who again is a star, like this woman is really able to emote. And I felt that way about Dreamgirls too. Like her as Effie White, just like Jennifer Hudson just got that spark. Like she just has that it. Like she just got that zing. Like that something. And you know, really seeing her portraying the highs and the lows. You know, the ups and the downs, and the family dynamics and the relationships. The relationship between her and her father. The relationship between her and her mother. The relationship between her and her sisters. The relationship between her and her husband, her first husband, and then her second husband, and her sort of spiraling. The relationship between her and Titus Burgess, who plays her very good friend from the time she's a child, the choir director. This is the first thing I've ever seen him in. I don't know anything about him outside of like memes of like, you know, that's all I really know. So I was also pleasantly surprised. Not that I had any expectations, but I was just really pleasantly surprised by how I felt like he was a very rich, you know, had this like really warm, rich, well-rounded personality portraying her friend and the choir director, and he ends up being the one that leads her monumental Amazing Grace performances. He deserves some type of award if awards were real. Everybody deserves some type of award in this movie if awards were real. But it was just really, I thought it was a great movie. Again, seeing the struggle she was enduring and the demons she was facing. And facing demons was this constant theme of the film. Identity, you know, deciding who you're going to be, and how at different points in your life, that shit changes. Like that point changes. That idea of who you're going to be and who you want to be and who you are, how these things shift. I thought they did an excellent job of portraying that with this sort of larger-than-life figure that we all know, but sort of seeing almost like an other side or multiple sides to this woman that was so multifaceted. speaking of the incredible Amazing Grace recordings, there's an excellent the documentary, because they're talking in the movie, they're talking about how they're like, oh, we're gonna film this documentary and like film crew's gonna be in here. I have watched it. I think it's on Hulu. It's great. I was watching this film, like, God, they did a sickening reproduction. Like, it looks so good. Like, shout outs to the costumer. You guys know I'm a sucker for a good costumer, good wardrobe. Shout outs to the costumer. The wardrobes were amazing. The hair, the makeup, like I was so impressed. Like, the production values were so high. It really didn't seem like there was any expense spared, and like everybody came together to just like really create something really wonderful, and especially in those in the moments leading up to the Amazing Grace scenes. Again, Jennifer Hudson just blew me away. And sort of the climax of the film, where she's kind of finally releasing the trauma of her childhood, and the trauma of her abuse, and the trauma of her, you know, beloved mother dying, and the trauma of what happened with her first husband, and the stress of having all these people, family members, friends, looking to you, people who you have to take care of. You know, there's a point where she says, I have to work or else y'all don't eat. Like, she's basically having a breakdown. She's like drinking, and it's just, I almost want to say, like, it's a transcendent, you know, scenes and pinnacle of the movie, and just like peak of the third act, you know, of like her having this breakdown and then coming back with Amazing Grace and doing these Amazing Grace recordings, and then, you know, the movie sort of ending with letting us know that like that was her highest selling album up to that point, even though the label was like, we don't want to do a gospel album, you know, da 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 da, and then kind of giving us, you know, the wrap up of her career, and then showing us some like real footage of her, which is how they sort of close out and do the credits. Wonderful. And just Jennifer just sold it. She sold it. She really moved me. Again, I wanted to really say I love the depiction of her relationship with her sisters, who were also brilliant singers that were kind of with her whole life. I enjoyed seeing that. I loved Heather Headley as Clara Ward. She kind of snuck in there. There was a lot of recognizable faces. Again, the musical numbers were everything. I bought the soundtrack. I already bought it. And I also want to say that a lot of you guys know, like, I love gospel music. In my review of the Clark Sisters, I've talked about this. Like, Aretha overall is very nostalgic for me. It reminds me of my childhood, because my grandmother played me a lot of her music. My grandmother played me a lot of music from the 60s and the 70s, and especially a lot of Aretha, a lot of Tina Turner, like a lot. And so something about that is just always very nostalgic for me, and it reminds me of childhood, but especially the gospel music. Because a lot of you guys know, like, I was also like raised in the Christian church, and it just reminds me so much of childhood. But I also like the way that they portrayed the, you know, Black Christian and or Baptist church as sort of this duality. It's like, it's something that does provide real solace for people and help people. You know, like Aretha has sort of hit her lowest low, and then she was like, I have to go back to the church. I have to go back to my roots. I have to go back to gospel music. I have to record this gospel album, or else, you know, like, I'm not gonna make it, you know. And, you know, whatever you want to do, like, we can record it, we can make a documentary, whatever you want, but like, I have to do this for me. That's the solace that the music and the gospel and the church provides, you know, and the help. But how it also shelters a lot of hypocrisy, and a lot of lies. And, you know, like, a wonderful example of this that I enjoyed was the scene after Martin Luther King Jr. dies, where Aretha and her father are sitting in a bar drinking, and her father kind of starts to scold her, like, oh, you're drinking, you're losing sight of God. I was watching that shit like, nigga, she's in the bar drinking with you the preacher, you know. But yet, after she develops severe alcoholism, again, the church and her gospel music and her recording of this album, Amazing Grace, is what sort of, the Amazing Grace recordings is sort of what helps her find her way back. So again, like, the duality and the dichotomy there was explored with a lot of care. And again, that was my main takeaway from this film. Like, I just really appreciate the care that so obviously went into this film. From the casting to, you know, obviously the chemistry and the camaraderie among the cast, to the music, the musical numbers, again, the costumes, the wardrobe, the hair, the makeup, the writing, the screenplay, which I really enjoyed. I I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Obviously it's only in theaters, so I did see it in the theater. I am planning on seeing it again at least one more time. I told you guys I already bought the soundtrack. The music was so good, and Jennifer Hudson is so talented. Like there's only one Aretha, but Jennifer Hudson, I don't know how to put it. Like, she really brings that something. Like, I'm listening to her sing these songs. Like, yeah, she's really putting some respect on it. Like, she's really putting some respect on Aretha's name. Like, she's really doing a wonderful job of paying homage to this woman. And you can feel the respect and the empathy and the care that was taken with this film. And I told you guys, like, I was moved to tears like at least 3 times while watching this movie. I thought it was brilliantly crafted film. Technically very solid, great writing, really enjoyed, great cast, amazing, great musical numbers, amazing. Like, and now I've been down this rabbit hole of watching like rehearsal footage and like they just, and you can even see like them like all together and they're rehearsing, and and it's just like, oh, yes, like the vibes. I've been waiting for this movie, because you guys know COVID, and it kept getting pushed back, and it kept getting pushed back, and it finally came out, and I was not at all disappointed. So, Respect, biopic starring Jennifer Hudson. I loved it. That's 5 stars for me. I'm definitely going to see it again. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know if you've seen it. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.